Hi guys, my name is Lilian Momina. I am a registered dietitian and I create content on health and nutrition. In this particular video, I want to talk to you about what you're supposed to be giving your baby after the 6 months, because we have established that after the 6 month nutrition requirements of the babies go high and breast milk alone is no longer enough to meet the increasing demands of your baby. And unfortunately for most parents, there's a lot of confusion because of the flooded information from the internet, from the WhatsApp groups, from our parents, from our peers. I am in these WhatsApp groups and I can tell you for a fact that people are out here misleading others without even knowing that they are misleading them. So in this particular video, I'm hoping to ensure that you get the right information on what to feed your baby, the composition, frequencies, and even amounts. So before we start, kindly consider subscribing to join the team to get notified every time I post a video, because I am here to ensure that the videos and the content that I'm creating is enlightening and they are very well researched. Good nutrition promotes health and prevents the occurrences of diseases, both communicable and non-communicable. On the other hand, poor nutrition has been associated with negative health outcomes from metabolic disorders like diabetes, cancers, and increased rates of autoimmune disorders, mental issues, and even the compromised immune function, leading to high cases of communicable diseases. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the importance of continuing with breastfeeding. If you are a stay-at-home mom, it is important to ensure that you continue the same frequency of feeds that you are doing for the first few months of life. So you can actually give your babies an additional 1 to 2 dense meals a day to ensure that they meet the increasing demand. If you are a working mom, you express your milk to ensure that the baby still has access to breast milk even during the day when you're away from them. And for this reason, we're also encouraging our moms, they give their babies, or their babies are fed at least 2 to 3 dense meals a day. The second thing is on the composition of the meal. What are you giving your baby? What quantities? Remember, we have different macronutrients, that is basically protein, carbohydrate, fats, water, and fiber. And we also have the different micronutrients, that is basically vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. So when you're planning your baby's meal, you need to ensure that their meals are as dense as they can be, because the quantities that they're going to take up between month 6 to 12 is quite small, because their stomach capacity is still very tiny. And remember, we are still continuing with breastfeeding, but we want to ensure that we capture the increasing demands of growth and development when it comes to protein, energy, when it comes to micronutrients and such. So how are you going to ensure that your baby gets all this goodness? You need to ensure that your baby feeds on all type of proteins, both animal and plants. I understand the concerns that we have with allergies and sensitivities when it comes to proteins, and for this reason we actually encourage you, the mom, to ensure that you introduce one particular protein at a time to check on sensitivity, intolerances, and allergens. If you give them today omena, or you give them butter, or you give them meat, you don't do another kind of protein the same day to check on reaction for at least 24 hours. And for the plant sources of protein, ensure that you pre-soak them between 24 to 36 hours, and then ensure that they are well cooked. This will improve bioavailability, protein quality, and also improve on digestion, because we understand that between month 6 to 12 we have a lot of issues with digestion, things like constipation, things like bloating and gas for our infants because of poor meal preparation, meal combinations, and such. So when it comes to your fruits and vegetables, this is encouraged a lot because they are a good source of fiber, they are a good source of vitamins, minerals that are needed in large amounts for our growing and developing babies. So you need to ensure that you're also meeting these requirements by giving them the different types of fruits every other day. You know, our problem, we give them bananas and watermelon. Those are the common fruits that our babies eat. We have oranges, we have apples, berries, we have mangoes, we have pineapples. If you can access this, because I understand there are some regions that accessing fruits and vegetables might be a problem, but if you can access them, by all means give your baby variety of fruits, because they are denser in terms of nutrient composition as compared to what we normally feed our baby, that is basically OG, potatoes, bananas, malenge, carrots, and spinach. Let's shy away from that. Let's ensure that our babies feed from all types. When it comes to carbohydrates, we have ugali, we have rice, we have ngwashe, we have ndoma, cassavas, we have those potatoes, raw bananas. But again, at 6 months, you're not going to give your baby githeri, please, unless it's beans and then you mash them. So ensure that you provide variety when it comes to the different types and the different food groups. Do not give your baby spinach alone when we have cabbage, terere, soft terere, lettuce, we have broccoli, we have gourgets, we have okras. All these are things that when they are well prepared in good hygienic standards, well cooked, the baby can actually benefit a lot from taking them. So ensure that your baby's foods are well combined to ensure that the composition actually meets the nutrient requirements. And then the next thing that you're going to work on is actually the consistency and the texture of food. Our problem is when you're introducing our babies to foods, we want to give them like the over diluted, the over sieved. We want to give them only liquids. Over dilution compromises nutrient quality in baby's food. It is okay to want to be cautious, to want to protect your baby from choking, but remember, they have swallowing and chewing reflexes that are actually growing and they need to be cultured. So you need to ensure that you introduce to them solid food gradually. Of course, when you're giving them uji, do not make it too runny. Let it be a bit thick, and then you can also add something like maybe nuts or peanut butter. Like your nuts, you grind them into fine powder, you even blend them to a peanut kind of butter, and then you scoop and add to your baby's porridge. They will love it, they will appreciate it, and they will enjoy it. It will be denser and more nutritious than someone who has added sugar and the margarines. We shy away from all those additional things that are not very healthy for our babies, because they are going to introduce trans fats, inflammatories that have been shown to have a lot of negative impact when it comes to your baby's nutrition and metabolic function. The next thing that you're going to do is avoid synthetic sugars. When you are at the MCH and you're talking to this mom about what they feed their baby or what they have been told they need to be feeding their baby, they will tell you, I've been told to be giving them sweetened milk, I have been giving them like sweetened yogurt, the strawberry, the vanillas and such. I have this for a reason, because natural yogurt is what is actually encouraged to feed your babies for the first few years of life. This is because synthetic sugar has been shown to have negative health impacts, not only on children but in general population. The tongue has different taste buds. We have sweet, we have sour, we have bitter, and we have neutral. When you introduce them to the sour foods, you also nurturing taste buds. When you introduce them to the bitter, like maybe the lemons, few drops of lemons in their uji is going to increase their stomach acid, improve digestion and such things. Of course, I'm not telling you to go and now start squeezing your baby and give them lemon juice. We are doing everything in moderation, because you're also introducing to check on reaction and see how the baby's gut and system actually takes it up. Opt for naturally occurring sweet foods if you might. We have carrots, they're very tasty. We have sweet fruits, sweet vegetables like something like the butternut. We have malenge, is quite sweet. It is rich in vitamin A. The seeds are rich in zinc, omegas, and they are quite nutritious for your infant. So the next thing that you're going to do to ensure that you promote your baby's nutrition and health is ensure that when you're giving them their foods, you're actually targeting or promoting digestion. Why is it so important? Because digestion actually influences how nutrients are going to be utilized, absorbed, and how nutrients are going to be assimilated for the general good. How do you support digestion? You support it by increasing intake of fermented foods. I've just talked about natural yogurt. Those are some of the dairy products or the dairy options that you can give your babies. Malas, you can also give them fermented uji. Just ensure that you watch on the production and the hygiene standards to ensure that you don't over contaminate their tummies to promote diarrhea and such gut issues. You can also ferment cabbages, you can ferment carrots. As I have said, you want to introduce them to the different tastes to promote and to also ensure that their life is full of flavor later on in life. Another way that you can support digestion is ensuring that your baby is well hydrated. It is encouraged that anytime you introduce any other feed that is not breast milk to your baby or to your infant, you're supposed to ensure that you also introduce intake of clean water to ensure that you also capture the increased demands that has been caused due to the extra intake of these other types of foods. The fluids in the breast milk or the water in the breast milk is supposed to cater for digestion of the nutrients in the breast milk. So anything that has been additionally added to your baby's gut needs extra water for digestion. One thing about hydration is you need to ensure that your baby's water is clean and safe. How do you do that? Even if it's purified or even if it's kanjo water, the tap water that people usually drink without boiling it, please make sure that it is well boiled and then keep it in a clean container, and then ensure that the person, or if you're giving your baby, ensure that the utensils that you're going to use to feed your baby are well cleaned to avoid diarrheal diseases that are quite common with infants. Another way that you can actually support digestion is actually ensure that your baby plays. There was this advert that Dettol had about promoting, saying that dirt is good. No one likes dirt, but in that advert they used to capture dirt as good, because when the baby is playing outside, they're getting all these benefits of play. There is movement, there is energy expenditure, and there is also the social interactions that promotes emotional and mental development. And it's also good for their gut microbiome, because they're also going to interact with the microbes in the environment, and also from other few babies. Of course, they will get some reactions here and there, some small flus, but with time their body and the immune system is actually built up to ensure that it is going to defend itself from that, and that is good. The next thing that you're going to do, of course, is ensure that there is adequate intake of fiber. Ensure that your baby is taking up both soluble and insoluble fibers, to ensure that again you're promoting and supporting their gut microbiome, supporting and promoting food movement in the stomach, excretion of waste products of digestion, vegetables. The situation that they are being grown at is quite very discouraging, but ensure that you clean them if it's possible. I know you want to make things easier by tasking our mama mbogas to do everything, but if you have an infant, jikaze tu kidogo. Ensure that every once in a while you buy the vegetables, you clean them. If you have a refrigerator, cook and put them in the freezer. Then every other day you just take a scoop, mix with their food, and your baby has some vegetables with their meals. The next thing that you need to do as a mom to ensure that your baby's health and nutrition status is well taken care of is actually work and walk with a dietitian. I don't know why parents in Kenya shy away from reaching out to a dietitian to get help from what they're supposed to be feeding your baby. The first few years of your baby's life are very critical when it comes to how their health and nutrition outcomes are going to be later on in life. When you initiate feeds for your baby, you're determining their metabolic function, you're determining their gut microbes, you're determining their digestion system, you're determining their allergens, sensitivities, and intolerances. So you need to ensure that you do it the right way, and the only way that you're going to do that is actually by talking and working with a professional dietitian who has experience to ensure that your baby gets the best. At Mumina Wellness, we do that for you. If you are in need, kindly reach us. We'll be more than glad to actually do that, because we understand that parents have different exposures when it comes to the variety of foods that they have, when it comes to the socioeconomic status, food preparation, and actually cooking methods that can actually work for the different parents. They are not blanket, and that is where we do individualized plans. Again, also medication and beliefs, all these are different, and that is where they need to be captured for every specific child to ensure that the baby gets the best regardless of the situation that they are actually at. Remember that you can sign up on our coaching program that we run for 8 weeks, every 8 weeks, that goes for 10,000 shillings, and in these 10 weeks we're going to teach you the fundamentals of health and nutrition. You're going to work with you if it's pregnancy, if it's fertility, weaning, if it's complementary feeding, if blood sugar control, hormones imbalances, diabetes, hypertension, whatever your condition is. We have qualified professionals that are going to work with you to ensure that you get the best that you're supposed to get for the best health outcomes that is out there. So let's have a recap of what we have said. We have talked about ensuring that you continue with breastfeeding at least for the next 2 years of life, and then ensuring that your complementary feeds are timely, dense, quality, and nutritious at all times, ensuring that you support your baby's digestion by giving them fermented foods, proper intake of water, encouraging play, traditional foods as opposed to the overly refined processed foods that we have in the market. You ensure that your baby is on track when it comes to immunization and vaccinations, because they're also very important in disease prevention, especially on these communicable diseases such as cholera and polio that actually affect babies. We have vaccinations that have been ongoing in the different counties in the country. So if you're in that county, that is basically Nairobi, Kajiado, and some parts of Machakos, we have been having some cholera and polio vaccination. So make sure that your baby is well vaccinated to prevent those small complications that can be quite complicated if they are not prevented. When you're doing all that, ensure that you avoid overblending your baby's food. It is very necessary. And thank you so much for watching. If this video was insightful, useful in any other way, please give it a thumbs up and ensure that you watch this video or this playlist next on child nutrition and health, to ensure that you get more on what you're supposed to do to ensure that you promote, support and protect your baby's health and nutrition for a stronger, happy and healthier baby. So until next time, bye.